Hi. Um, so I guess this is a series now. A lot of people seem to really like my first life lessons video. So, first of all, thank you. Um, Today I wanted to talk to you about something that I have a bit of experience in. More so in the last few years than my whole life. Primarily in the last 2 or 3 years. And that's the importance of balance. And what I mean by that is the importance of the balance between your work life and your life or home life. Um, so when when I was working my previous job, I was really struggling financially. I I had I was barely paying my rent. Um, I was I was feeding myself. That wasn't a problem, but because I was buying those groceries, I was barely scraping by with rent. It was a whole thing. Um, and I felt, if I just work more, I if I just keep working, like I'll be fine. And that was the case. I was just barely the case. But I guess the important thing is to have a break. I mean, um, even now when I do this, it's good to have a break every once in a while. And I've been doing daily, or at least close to daily uploads, every day, or close to daily uploads for the past 4 months. Um, and it's good to have a break every once in a while. That's a good thing, um, because if you become a workaholic and you work yourself to death, or if you're constantly working, you're going to go insane, for lack of a better term. My I remember one of my biggest mistakes in life was I was about a year into my last job. Um, I remember it was that's what okay. So I got hired in 2020, end of 2020, and it was around the end of 2021. Um, I had gotten my new therapist at that point. Um, I had my new therapist. Um, and I've talked about this before in depth, and I'm not going to go too much into it. But I had my new therapist at the time, and I basically gave up therapy for more hours at work. Um, and I was an absolute mess. I was a wreck, for lack of a better term. I was absolutely like, I mean, I was exhausted. I was sad. I mean, it was I didn't have that balance. I didn't have that balance between my work life and my home life, or home life could also be considered my mental health, because I was going insane from how much I was working. And it actually got to the point where work pulled me inside and they're like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, and I told them, I'm like, I give up like my therapy for this, like to have more hours, and they're like, "No, you're going back to therapy." so, so I appreciate that place of employment for doing that. They saw there was an issue. That I really liked the last place I worked at. I really did. It was a really nice place. I really enjoyed it. Um, they were good to me. They were flexible with hours. I'm not gonna get into all that, but it was a nice place to work. It was a good place to work. Um, and they saw there was an issue, and they helped me out of that issue. And that's, again, talk to somebody. We're gonna get into a little bit into my first life lessons video. Talk to somebody. Um, Another thing that convinced me to go back to therapy was there were still so many people on waiting lists, and I felt kind of bad. I was like, I was given this spot in therapy, and I'm not using it for its intended purpose. This spot could go to somebody that really needs it. But that's in the past. I'm going to therapy now. Um, I haven't seen the same therapist. I like her. She's good. It's good to talk to somebody. Definitely good to talk to somebody. Um, we're getting off topic though, aren't we? Um, but the importance of balance is it's so important. Like, take a break every once in a while, especially for somebody that's self-employed. I've seen so many people in my life that have been self-employed. They started out good, right? We had a great friendship, um, and then they started working more, right? They started 7 days a week, no breaks, and they were making more money, like they were making a ton more money, but we kind of lost that connection because it just kind of drifted apart. I mean, and one person in particular, I remember they turned into a real monster, actually. And I actually I was like, I'm done with this. This isn't gonna work out. So I've seen it firsthand. I've seen what without that balance, I've seen what it does to people, and it truly is horrible. Now that's not to say that if you work 7 days a week, no breaks, I mean, that's not to say you're a horrible person. That's not. Everybody's got their own thing that they like to do. Like this. I love doing this. But 7 days a week, no breaks, I'm not so sure. I'll post a video 7 days a week, but I gotta have breaks in those days. Like, I need, like, yeah. Like, but if you're passionate, who am I to stop you? Right? I mean, but if you start to feel, if you start to notice yourself, in my experience, people were lashing out. I've noticed people lashing out. I've noticed they're completely exhausted. I've noticed that they're like a completely different person. If you start to notice that, if somebody that's close to you tells you, "Hey, there's something going on with you," take notice of that, because that's telling you that you need more balance. Like, if you notice it, or if somebody's like, "Hey, man, you haven't been the same. Like, you've been like a completely different person," that's a red flag. It really is. And I wish I could go back to the point before it got out of hand and say that to those people that I've known, because I didn't. I just kind of like took it, and that wasn't the right thing to do at all. It got to the point, because I did try telling them at one point, and they just brushed it off. Right? It just went over their head, because it was too late at that point. You know, you're gonna get, if you work so hard, if you work 7 days a week, if you work 24/7, no breaks. I mean, it's like you're gonna get to a point, if you don't take notice of what you're doing, and you don't change, then you're gonna destroy relationships. You just are. And that's something I've told myself that I would never fall into. Which is why I take those days. You know, sometimes I'll make a community post and I'll say, "Hey, I'm a little busy, guys." You know, most of the time, yes, I was pretty busy, but most of the time that's just like, I need a break, right? And I don't say that because, well, it's a complicated reason why I don't say that. I guess maybe that would make me feel bad. I don't know. I shouldn't feel bad for needing a break. I shouldn't feel bad about that. But sometimes I do. Yeah, because I feel like I'm letting you down. And I know I'm not. If I didn't say I know I'm not, everybody in the comments would say that I'm not letting you down. Thank you. I appreciate that. Even if you weren't going to say that, but you were thinking it. Thank you. But it's like, you know, you just need a break sometimes. And that's the balance. Now, another thing that helps me with balance is, this is absolutely not required at all. I mean, this is really, this is getting into petty territory, almost. When I lived with my father, basically I had my computer set up in the same room that I slept in, my bedroom. And that's what I was really, really into Twitch. And I was like, but I think I got to a point where I was sleeping in the same room that you do that kind of thing in, or just make videos. I mean, it gets to you. It really does. Now, obviously, if you've got a 1-bedroom place, and you don't have a lot of space, then that makes sense for why you would need your computer in your bedroom. I get that. I was like that for quite some time until I moved into my own apartment and I got that separate area. Having a separate space for work, like a home office, that's really nice. Now, I'm not saying that you need that. You definitely don't need that. But I remember it got to the point where I was actually, I had a nightmare one time. I woke up at I shot up out of bed in like a cold sweat, because I thought my Twitch account had been banned, which is kind of silly now that I'm thinking about it. And I actually ran to my computer. I ran around to the other side of the room, got to my computer, and I was like, oh, I gotta make sure that my Twitch account isn't banned. It wasn't. It was just a nightmare. But I was so certain. That kind of messes with you mentally. And now, I get that. Not everybody can have that. I'm lucky enough to have that now. If you can have that, I was just trying to go to sleep not thinking about that kind of thing. Because I know there were nights I would lay awake and be like, just like laying on my pillow, like, I could be making content right now. Don't think like that. Sleep. Please just sleep. I definitely had nights like that when my computer was in my bedroom. Now, when you have it in a separate room, and in my case, my bedroom's on a separate floor, it's like, I could be making content right now, but I don't feel like getting up and getting out of bed. That kind of thing, But that's not the case for everybody, and I understand that. That's really getting into petty territory for me. But a lot of people that are in this field feel like that. Then again, there's a lot of people in this field that make more money than me, but I'm not worried about that. But genuinely, the importance of balance it's so important, right? Like, it's just, even if you're not self-employed, like, take those days off. Like, the problem when I was working that last job was my days off were consumed by this, and it didn't really feel like a day off at that point. Now I would take days off, but so basically I had 2 days off a week, and probably like I think one of those days to work on YouTube and the other day to take off, and that's usually how we would do that. But 1 day off a week is not enough. It's not. But I guess the important thing to remember is just take a break. Because if you don't, you're gonna become a workaholic, and that's never what you want, right? Because who wants to be around the workaholic at the party, right? That's like, it's nobody wants to be around that guy. But again, if you work without breaks, like and you're passionate about what you do and you love doing it, who am I to stop you? Right? I guess it's different for each person, I suppose. But like I said, if you notice that you're you're mentally changing, or someone tells you, hey, you haven't been the same recently, like, what's going on? That's a red flag that you should probably change something about what you're doing. And don't wait till it's too late, because I've seen so many people in my life just, like, I guess not so many people, but enough people to know that if you wait until it's too late, then there's no going back. Like, I'm obviously not gonna say who. That would be stupid to do that. That'd be dumb. But yeah, I guess that's it for this life lesson. I want to thank you all for watching. I don't know if I was talking a little bit too loud in this video. If I was, I apologize. I hope you get some sort of ASMR out of this. I understand that the last video was not exactly personal attention, and I get that. I really just named it just named it personal attention to really kind of try to push the algorithm a little bit. I get that. I'm sorry if you thought you were gonna get a personal attention video, and I think there was some personal attention in there, but the whole video definitely wasn't personal attention, and I apologize for that. Gotta do what you gotta do, right? No. Thank you all for watching this life lesson with Ash. I guess this is a series now. I'll have to think about what the next one's gonna be, because genuinely, I don't know. I didn't even think of this one until recently. I was thinking like, oh, that's a one-off, but no, people like it enough. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you later.